YouTubers, and welcome back to Tony the Technician channel. And today we're going to mock up the fuel line system and kind of cut it to size and everything and install the AN fittings. So what I'm going to do to start out with is actually set the EFI system on top of the intake manifold so I can get an idea of how long the fuel line needs to be and how long the return line needs to be. And then we can go ahead and kind of split it, put our fuel filter in there, and I'll kind of show you everything. I kind of made a list of everything that still needs to be done on the Camaro just so I don't forget and I can check it off as I go through these last final steps. Writing it down, it seems like a lot, but it's fairly all simple stuff. So we'll get it done, and hopefully the Camaro will be up and running here soon. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so here's kind of the list of things that I still need to do and double check before actually getting this thing out there on the road or starting it up for warm up and break-in. Just a quick little list, and this will be all later, but that's the rest of that. So it looks like a lot, but there's really not all that much. But I only have so much time to work, so it might take me a little while. So today we're going to be working on cutting the fuel line to size and setting it up. So I started off with, well, let me talk about this first. If you watched my previous video on the new parts that I got for the Camaro, this is one of them. It's an AN adapter with a port for my fuel pressure gauge, but really there's no use to it whatsoever. So if I put it in line, so the hard line comes up into the engine bay, and then I was going to run my AN fuel line off of it and then put that gauge in there before the Phytech system, but it doesn't make any sense. That gauge only goes up to 12, because it was for a carbureted system. I have a aftermarket fuel pump, which pumps a lot more, so that gauge wouldn't be able to read it anyways, and it doesn't get regulated before the Phytech system. The Phytech system itself actually regulates the fuel pressure, so unless I was somehow to mount it after, then if I put it before, all it's going to be doing is reading the fuel pressure from the pump. So it's not really necessary. The only thing that I need to put in line is the fuel filter. So the main line is going to be the bigger one, the return line is going to be the smaller one, and basically I'm just going to take some line, measure it, how far I need to go for each one. I'm going to leave it some slack so they're not like super tight or anything, and we'll see where to go from there. If you guys don't know how to put together AN line and you've wanted to do it, I do have a video on that. I'll either try and link it right up here or at the end of the video. So what I've done here is I've taken my line over there and held this to where the hard lines are up in the engine bay, and kind of held this up to where the main fuel line would attach the Phytech system. And I put some electrical tape there because that's where I'm going to cut it, and I don't want the ends to fray. So if you want to learn how to do AN fittings, like I said before, go ahead and check out my previous video on how to do AN fittings on a fuel line, and it'll show you. But then your next thing to think about is what angles you're going to need. Are you going to go with a straight? Here you have a 90, here you have a 45, and here you have a 180. So you kind of decide what's easiest on your fuel line, what keeps it from bending and kinking the most. So then you will also need your adapters. This is basically your hard line size to a 6AN fitting, so you can directly attach the 6AN fittings to your hard line. And then here's the fuel filter, which we will add in after I get done putting the other end on this fuel line. Okay, so I decided to go with a 45-degree angle over here, straight, and a 90. This 90 will go into the back of the EFI unit. The fuel filter will sit in between these straights, and the 45 will go to the old hard line in the engine bay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the fuel filter screwed on here, and I'll mock it up so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so like I was saying, I got the 45 coming off the original fuel line, goes up, you got the bend, and it goes straight into the fuel filter. And then it kind of curves, and you got the 90 that goes straight into the EFI system. So that's it. Now I'm going to start working on the return line. Okay, so just really quickly before I go over and show you the lines installed on the car, just want to quickly give you a real brief on how to install AN fittings on a fuel line. So you're going to have your fitting, whatever size, 6, 8, 10, whatever. You're going to remove this end, and you're going to take this end and you're going to force it on very carefully over the line, and you're going to turn clockwise while pushing it onto the line until you feel it bottom out, and then you can pull it away from the threads inside of here just a hair. And then once you have that done, you're going to take this threaded portion, you're going to insert it, and that's when you're going to need your AN wrench, or whether it's adjustable or you just have the AN wrench kit. And you can either use something like this on your vise. It's just some jaws for AN fittings and stuff to not mar them up and not damage them. You just hold it in the vise from the bottom right here, and then you take your AN wrench and you tighten it down. Make sure to hold the fuel line up into this fitting, so when you thread this in, it doesn't push the hose out, and you're good to go. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And then just make sure whenever you install it in the car to make sure it doesn't leak, of course. But let's go over and take a look at the car. So this is how I have it routed. I'll probably end up zip tying them together. So both have 45s coming out of the hard lines, and then probably have it mounted something similar to this, kind of run them underneath of each other, and then the return line goes around to the back, and the main line is right there on the close side. Make sure your fuel filter is going the right way. They should have an arrow on it. Some of the cheaper like eBay ones probably won't. This one from Summit, it's under the EFI or Phytech EFI system suggested parts list. It's under that. So that's how it turned out. I'm pretty happy with it. Now I'm going to continue to do small work on the car, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.